Hello, and welcome to this second video showing how to create ColorCert jobs for the 3M print quality program. In the first video, we showed you how to establish a connection to the 3M repository server. In this video, we're going to move forward and actually create a ColorCert job using the job wizard. Before I begin showing you the actual process, let me show you that we also have written instructions showing you how to do this. As you can see, this will walk you through every step of the process, including instructions and screen grabs. Before we begin, let me draw your attention to page number 3. This page highlights the information that 3M is requiring us to include in these jobs. You'll see the screen again in a moment when we actually build the job, but there's several pieces of information here that are required. At this screen, we're going to enter into the job name field a descriptive name for the job. Now this can be anything that you choose to use. You're going to want to think of your press operators and choose something that will work well for them to help them find it. In the second field, which is labeled job number, here we want to enter the 3M 34 number. In the brand field, we want to enter the 3M brand. Typically that would be something like Scotch or Filtrete. In the variety field, we want to enter the type of package that we're printing. This would be something like a header card, a film overwrap, whatever the package type is. The next field down is the UPC/spec number field. Here we want to enter the 3M catalog number. And finally, in the production order number field, this is where you are going to enter your job number. After we've entered all those bits of information, we're going to identify how the measurements will be taken. Are we taking a reading every roll? Are we taking a reading every pallet? Or are we taking a reading every sample? Now, just so you know, this doesn't affect the readings in any way. It's just metadata that goes along with the readings, so we know how we did the measurements. And then once we've done that, we'll hit on continue. And again, we'll see this in a moment. Again, this walks you through the entire process, so this document is available for your use as well, and you'll probably find it useful. If you don't have this document and you need it, you could reach out to me. I could be reached via email at bbinder@xrite.com, or you could also reach out to Michael John at 3M. Either one of us would be happy to help you out. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and build our job. Now, I showed you those bits of information you're going to need to fill in. I know that almost every one of you has some sort of run sheet that you use, and so I've kind of simulated this myself. I've created, of course mine here is obviously very simple compared to the run sheets that you guys would be using, but I wanted to have something to show that I'm going to grab this information that's on the job. Let me just size this here so that we can see most of the information. Next, I'm going to open up the ColorCert application. You probably noticed down in the corner of the screen, you could see it logging into the repository server. Once we've established our connection, every time we launch the software, it should go out and do so. If we want to check, I can always come up to the top of the screen, click on repository, and I can see that I'm in online mode. That's exactly what we want. I should also point out that this process works equally well using the ColorCert Manager or the ColorCert Pressroom version. So this does not require a manager to build jobs. We should also talk about the workflow for job creation. There's two different options here. One strategy that you might adopt is to assign this work to someone in your plant. Maybe someone in pre-press, maybe someone in customer service, maybe someone in the ink room, but have that person or persons build all of the ColorCert jobs in advance of going to press. In that case, the press operators will simply find the job on a local drive, open it, and begin running the job. If you choose that option, you will not have to connect to the repository server on those pressroom workstations, because in that event they would be opening the jobs from a local drive or your network drive. It's also possible, and actually the way the Job Wizard was developed, the intention was that this would be a tool that the press operators could be used to build jobs on the fly. So that's another strategy that you may want to adopt. I think you'll see that the process is pretty straightforward and not too difficult. So that's something you should consider. Okay, so to build the job, what I'm going to do is click on Pressroom Tools, and then we will click on Job Setup Wizard. This opens the screen that we saw just a bit ago. I'm just sliding it over again so that we can see everything here, because what I'm going to do is copy and paste the items from my run sheet into the Job Wizard. I can either copy and paste, or I can enter text directly. So the first thing we need to enter is a job name. And let's just call this 3M Scotch Project. Okay, now I'm going to use my run sheet, and the job number is going to be the 3M34 number. So I'm going to copy this from my run sheet and paste it into the appropriate field. We're not required to include anything in the customer or business unit field. You can if you desire. We do want to enter the brand. In this case, it's Scotch. So I'm just going to type this in here. The variety is the package type that we're printing, and this is a header card. So I'll paste that in there. The spec number field is the 3M catalog number. So I will place that into that field. And finally, our run number will go into the production order number field. Okay, now that we have our metadata entered, we then identify if this is a roll, pallet, or sample. In this case, let's just leave it at roll, so we can click continue. At the next screen, we're going to select a template for our job. And I do so by clicking on this little button here with the 3 dots. And when I click on this, this brings us out to the 3M repository server. You can see that up at the top of the screen here. It's the repository server, and this one is 3M. We need to select one of these templates. I can order them by name, and you can see here that we have a template for 1, 2, 3, up to 8 colored jobs. The job that we're building for today is a 3-color job, so I'm going to select the 3-color template. I can either click on it once to highlight it and then click select, or you can also simply double click on those and they will just open directly. At this next screen, there's nothing we really need to do here other than verify that we opened the correct template. You can see here that we have a placeholder for our substrate, and placeholders for 3 different colors. So this is the correct template. If by chance we did open the wrong one, you can click on this button up here at the top with the 3 dots, and that will take you back to the template selection screen. We have the correct template, so I'm going to click continue. And at this screen, we can update the substrate. Okay, you'll notice at the top here it says review or replace from library, and that's what we want to do because these are built simply having placeholders. And let me adjust these here for us a second. You can see that the substrate, looking at my run sheet, is something called WSG245. I'll click on this button with the 3 dots next to the placeholder, and this will bring me out again to the 3M repository server. And here you can see the substrates available to us. This is the one we want, so I will highlight it and select it. And now you can see the pink change to white or an off-white color, and you can see we have the correct name in here. I'll click continue. And now we have the opportunity to replace the colors in here. If I look at the run sheet, we have 3 colors on this job. The first is something called 10084 Scotch Bright Blue. So like we've done, I'm going to click on the button with 3 dots. Again, this will take me out to the 3M repository server, but now we're looking at the colors available. As you can see, there's quite a lot of them. And a nice feature here is we have a search screen. And I can search for anything in that color. Let's, in this case, search for Scotch. And as soon as I start entering the word, it's going to filter those entries. And you can see it brought us right to the Scotch Bright Blue. I'll double click it to add it to the job and move on to my next color. Again, we click the button with the 3 dots. It's looking at the Scotch Blue. I still have my filter up here in the search field, so I can delete that. This time, let's search by the 3M number, 10067. If I enter that, it brings me right to this pink. Double click it to add it. And lastly, we have a purple. Let me this time type in purple. You can see that there's 2 different purples. We need 247. So I will double click that. Now we have all our appropriate colors. By the way, this is not a real Scotch tape job. I'm just showing you this as an example to use the tool. But once we've added all our colors, I'm going to click on continue. And at this point, we're basically finished building the job. You can see this brings me to the Save Job screen. It automatically populates the Save As field with whatever we entered into the job name. And so I simply click on Save. And that's it. We're done. I talked earlier about 2 different strategies for creating jobs. If we assign someone in our shop the duty of building these jobs, at this point they would be done, the job would be saved. We could just simply click on the Close button and begin building our next job. If we choose to have the press operators build the job, at this point we could begin measuring. I would just simply click on the Measure Tool button and start running production. So hopefully you'll find that this process is not too difficult. I should also mention as well, the intent of this video is for those customers that already use ColorCert as part of their business, or they're using ColorCert as part of other brand programs. And it therefore assumes a basic working knowledge of ColorCert. If you should have any questions, please feel free to get in contact with us.